Mr. Speaker, in the last 2 years, I've been negotiating serious trade deals which are vital for our most important sectors of the economy. They're trade deals with the EU, but also with India, North Korea.
Look at this country. They ban our own oil in Aberdeen and telling you it's for the planet. While secretly, while we all asleep, we're passing a law to import Russian oil, which somehow is greener than ours. You cannot make this shit up, guys. And while hundreds of people in Aberdeen losing their jobs, prime ministers and politicians, they playing Game of Thrones in their corridors. And Prime Minister, he just accidentally said that he agreed a trade deal with North Korea. Let's get into the video. Let's play the tape.
Can the Secretary of State guarantee that under Labour's EU reset, Britain will not align with any EU tech rules, including the AI Act?
This government wants to ensure we have a closer relationship for Europe because we see every day the terrible impacts that their Brexit deal brings. But I am also clear that we will continue our pragmatic, not dogmatic approach to regulation because Britain is the second country in the Western world for AI, and we want to retain those benefits to grow the economy and create good jobs throughout the country.
Julie Lopez.
Mr. Speaker, there was absolutely no clear answer from the Secretary of State there. So I think it sounds like Labour is about to trade away our Brexit freedoms on tech regulation. And yet tech ministers have been briefing behind the scenes that we must not lose Britain's Brexit freedoms on tech when it comes to AI, data, agri-tech. So will she now publicly admit what her ministers have been briefing behind those closed doors? Brexit was not some exercise in nostalgia pushed on us by uninformed thickos. It's given Britain a competitive advantage in the industries of the future.
I mean, perhaps unusually, I don't listen to and never get involved in briefings, but I am very clear about the huge advantages this country has. World-leading talent, some of the most innovative tech startups. In the last year alone, we got more VC funding for tech and AI in this country than France, Germany, combined. We are going to back Britain because we believe in Britain. £500 million in a sovereign AI fund, 4 AI growth zones in parts of the country that have been levelled up more under this government than under 14 years under members opposite. We are going to seize this powerful technology to build a future that works for all, and I am very proud of our...
Right, so they tell us that they're going to back up British innovation, but briefing behind the closed doors, they are surrendering control. To whom? To Brussels. And I think that elites do not care about competitive advantage. For some reason, they want to go back to Brussels. For some reason. Let's have a look at the next one.
And then, late last night, Mr. Speaker, the government snuck out an announcement that it was removing sanctions on Russian oil. So can the Prime Minister explain why oil from Russia is acceptable, but oil from Aberdeen is not?
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me address the sanctions head on, because we have been united across this House on these issues since the beginning of the conflict. What we announced yesterday was a strong new package of new sanctions, going well beyond existing sanctions. So it's a new package. This includes new bans on maritime services on LNG, and new bans on...
What with the nodding heads? Yep. Yep. Is that grave part too?
refined oil products from Russia.
Yep.
We also issued 2 targeted short-term licenses to phase the new sanctions in and to protect UK consumers. Mr. Speaker, that is standard practice. This government has phased in sanctions in this way before. And the last government used exactly the same technique when they introduced sanctions. And when they did so, Mr. Speaker, we supported them because we could see the sanctions were the right thing to do to bear down on Russia. So these are new sanctions being phased in. This is not a question of lifting existing sanctions in any way whatsoever. And we will continue to work with our allies on further sanction packages.
It's a very weak set of cheers from the MPs who are trying to get rid of him, could I just say. Mr. Speaker, he doesn't know what he is talking about. This level of processology is not going to get him out of these difficult answers, okay? Let me tell him what is going on. Labour are giving money to Russia, Reform are taking money from Russia. There's only one party that is standing up to Russia, and that is the Conservative Party. I cannot believe that he's actually saying that he's doing something good.
I mean, look at this. It does remind me of the primary school my son attended to. It's pretty much the same.
On the war in Ukraine. What's he talking about? This morning, Ukraine's sanction chief disagrees with what the Prime Minister's approach is. That's what Ukraine is saying. In March, when the United States eased sanctions on Russia, the Prime Minister said all partners should maintain pressure on Russia and its war chest. The Prime Minister said our sanctions remain, and there is no question about that. What's changed?
I really think on an issue of this importance, which is about further sanctions on Russia in relation to Ukraine, it is really important that the position is not misrepresented. Exactly. This is a new package of sanctions. None of the existing sanctions are being lifted in any way. So this is not less pressure on Russia, it is more pressure on Russia. More pressure than there was the day before yesterday, more pressure than there was under the last government. What is happening is that those sanctions are being phased in a way which was used by the last government when they introduced new sanctions. We bothered to do the processology and work out what we were doing and supported it because we could see that it put more pressure on Russia. Similar methods are used by other countries. They are done because of the impact on the market and to protect UK consumers. These are new sanctions putting more pressure on Russia, and I think if she'd done her homework, she'd actually support us on this.
Mr. Speaker, being patronising is not a substitute for understanding policy. And I've heard this term, Mr. Speaker, I've heard this tone before. This is the same tone he used during the Mandelson scandal, and they were all cheering, and then it turned out that he was wrong. He says that other countries are doing this. The EU is not doing this. Let me make it clear, I know it hurts him to hear it. He is now choosing to buy dirty Russian oil. That money will be used to fund the killing of Ukrainian soldiers. Isn't he ashamed?
So they voted to ban new British drilling licenses, but they secretly authorized importing Russian oil. They destroyed jobs in Aberdeen for green targets, funding a foreign war. I mean, yeah, the disappointment is understatement, really. Let's watch another one.
Mr. Speaker, in the last 2 years, I've been negotiating serious trade deals which were vital for our most important sectors of the economy.
Now listen to
this. Trade
this.
deals with the EU, but also with India, North Korea, and the United States. And I remind him of the value of those deals. Before the deal with the United States, I went to jail.
I mean, if you're reading a script, do a bullet points or whatever, but mistakes like these, what?
In Solihull, and I talked to the workforce there. They were worried sick about their jobs and the jobs of their communities. When we agreed terms, I went back to JLR because of the deal we got with the EU, because their jobs, thousands of jobs, were safeguarded. His approach would throw all that away. He would have to go and see those workforces and tell them their jobs are gone. I'm not going to do that.
What happened?
Mr. Speaker, I welcome the steps taken to clean up British politics via the landmark elections bill. But we must go further. If I had a £5 million gift from a billionaire living halfway across the world and not come clean about what that money was for, my constituents would be furious. And if the same billionaire had then bankrolled my party to the tune of £12 million, my constituents would be knocking on my door and calling for me to resign. Does the Prime Minister agree that the elections bill must ensure that no British politician is ever for sale to the highest bidder?
I thank my honourable friend who makes a powerful case. We have already committed to a moratorium on crypto donations to political parties, and the King's Speech introduces tougher rules to protect our democracy.
Jesus.
But the £5 million question is, why did the Reform leader keep this donation secret? I see he's not here to answer. And what did the billionaire lining his pockets ask for in return? Those questions need to be answered. That's why he's not here.
Dave Dugan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for calling me for my first PMQ since becoming SNP Westminster leader following the SNP's stunning victory in Scotland. Can I say about how much I'm enjoying the sense of challenge and opportunity that a new job can provide, a sense of renewal I'm certain the Prime Minister will be enjoying in the weeks ahead. But we saw this week, Mr. Speaker, the latest chapter of Labour infighting, where Andy Burnham Brexit wants the UK to stay out of the EU, but Peter Mandelson's pal, the former Health Minister, wants us to go back into the EU. Can the Prime Minister advise us which of his potential successors does he agree with?
Well, can I congratulate him on his new post and thank him for the calm, reasonable approach that I've come to expect. My position is very clear. We have already negotiated a closer relationship with the EU. We did that last year. We have another negotiation and agreement this year at a summit where we'll get even closer and take a big step forward in relation to our relationship with the EU, which is in our national interest.
Chris Vince from Harlow.
Thank you.
Not quite sure what's happening here, but
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the Prime Minister will please know, I'm going to ask him a question about his favourite topic, which is football. There are people in this House that seek to blame the Prime Minister for everything, but I thought it was a bit rich when one national newspaper blamed the Prime Minister for Harlow Town going into administration because he once went to visit them. But as I know, Harlow Town is very much the Prime Minister's second team. He will please to be know they are now out of administration, looking forward to a strong future. Can I ask the Prime Minister what his government will do to support really important community assets like our football teams, like Harlow Town and Roydon, who also won their league this season?
Well, I have very fond memories of visiting Harlow Town with my honourable friend. But the point he makes is a really important one because football clubs bring our communities together. They're part of our social fabric, and in some places, they're one of the last places left where members of the community can come together. And that's why my government fought so hard to create the independent football regulator to protect our national game. And we should remind everyone and every football fan across the country, from Harlow to Wigan Athletic, it was Labour on the side of football fans, and the Tories and the Reforms opposed us every step of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This month's local election saw the biggest ever gap between votes and seats in England. Over 5 parties won more than 15% of the vote, or estimated to have done so. The public have increasingly clear that the public have had enough of Westminster business as usual. So does the Prime Minister still have full confidence in the first past the post system to deliver strong and stable government?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Trump's war in Iran means the world will have to contend with a spike in inflation throughout this year. Many of my Cannock Chase constituents struggle to afford their weekly shop, whilst our farmers struggle to make a living producing what goes on the shelves. Labour governments should always be on the side of working people, whether they are in the supermarket or on the farm. If we aren't, we will not be forgiven. Will the Prime Minister follow the example of our European neighbours, including Ireland, and bring in a package of support for our farmers to help them stay afloat and protect our constituents from the worst of Trumpflation?
Mr. Speaker, before I answer that, I've just been handed a note saying that I inadvertently said we did a trade deal with North Korea rather than South Korea.
So the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom proudly told Parliament that he made a trade deal with Kim Jong-un. Are people who deciding your taxes, who deciding your laws you have to follow, they cannot even comprehend what country they are talking about. Right, let's watch another.
It's absolutely laughable, Mr. Speaker. It's absolutely laughable. Yesterday, we saw them huddled in the corridors talking about Andy Burnham and West Streeting. The fact is, he's got a cabinet fighting to replace him, and the worst part is, they aren't getting rid of him over his terrible agenda. No, they actually like it. They just want a better salesman. So isn't it the case, Mr. Speaker, that it doesn't matter who replaces him, the real problem is the Labour Party?
Right, so as Kemi said, I don't think it's who is at the steering wheel. I think it's the system itself is broken. So there you have it. British steel factories get taxed until they break. British oil workers get handed redundancy notices, but foreign imports gets free pass. The people running this country do not live with the consequences of their stupid rules. They sit in their warm offices, cash their paychecks, and argue about who gets to replace the boss next month. Make it make sense, guys. Wake up. I'll see you in the next one.